All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. We have a special show today, where a lot of people know what I've been doing all summer long, right, Paul?
Right?
You know, right, Paul?
Yeah, yeah. Your
What
other
what
job.
what?
Your other job.
We've been streaming all the home games for the Norwich Sea Unicorns, which has been a blast and one of the biggest things that I've said all summer long. I've said it to you. I've said to the general manager, Lee Walter, who's sitting with us. We'll introduce in just a second. Is that I'm like, all right, well, there's like no Major League Baseball affiliation. How good could this actually be? I was completely wrong. I was completely wrong, 100% wrong. And I go there not just to stream the game with my team, but now as a fan.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's the truth. I mean, I get into the game sometimes probably more than I should, but I do. I was really angry 2 nights ago on a couple of couple of calls that really pissed me off. But then again, there's human error and whatever. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce. He hasn't been on the show in about 3-4 years. You were on, I think, the first year
I think
that the Unicorns
2022, so it would have been our second year of
second year.
existence in my first year as GM.
Got it. So, general manager of the Norwich Sea Unicorns, Lee Walter. Hey, Lee.
Good morning.
Morning. Welcome on in. So,
Yeah.
how, when you began your journey as the GM of the Sea Unicorns, what were you? Were you working there before that, or did you come from another organization? Or
So I had joined the organization full time in November of 2018 when there was still the minor league affiliation with the Connecticut Tigers. I'd worked a few summers for them in their press box, helped on the grounds crew a little bit as well. So, really got to know those guys over those 3 summers. And they had an opening for a business development manager. And I had a previous sales background as well. And also had most recently been working at Eastern in athletics part time. And so I was looking for full time work again, and it just happened to align where things worked out and came on board. And unfortunately, after that 2019 season, we lost affiliation status through COVID and all the changes that Major League Baseball wanted to make. And
which really had nothing to do with you guys.
no, it didn't. And that's the unfortunate part about it. Just a group of owners at the Major League Baseball level wanted to streamline and cut back on the number of minor leaguers. And everybody's got their opinions as to why. I have mine that I won't necessarily share right now. But the bottom line was that we were a victim. We were one of 43 towns that lost our affiliation status, and it took a little while to figure out what was next. And we had options. We had pro independent ball, we had summer collegiate ball, and ultimately decided that the Futures League was the right fit. And 2021 was a bit of a struggle as we had joined it kind of late, and we're getting used to what it was. And a lot of changes in the front office at that time too. Through COVID, a lot of people left, because of the uncertainty, and landed other jobs. And so I guess I was in the right place at the right time when 2022 came along and got promoted to general manager. And my main goal was to, obviously get the people of the area like yourself to know what collegiate summer ball was all about, and the fact that just because these guys aren't pros doesn't mean it's not good baseball. And then on the other side of it
You just said it.
yeah. And then on the other side of it was to provide the players a great place to play, get better, go back to their schools healthy and better players for the following season.
So, like Paul, one of the things I don't think you realize is that these kids are all from all over the country. It's not like Joey from Baltic, or anything like that.
Yeah,
These are kids from all over the place.
All over the place.
Yeah, and there's some solid kids. Now, let me ask you a question. This is one thing I don't know, as far as putting the teams together. The Sea Unicorns, when do players just come out for the Sea Unicorns, or does the league kind of disseminate players to different teams?
No, so actually that process, believe it or not, is already starting for next year. But what happens is the college coaches, they want to place their players in summer programs. And then our coaches, I leave it up to our coaches. Some teams, their general manager does it. I know a lot of college coaches, but I don't know the players. I don't want to just take a coach's word that a player is worthwhile. So I leave it up to our coaching staff, who are current college coaches and or just recently finished their college playing career, to work with the college coaches to help get the players that deserve to be in this league and get them placed here. And college summer ball has 3 or 4 tiers to it. Everybody has heard of the Cape Cod Baseball League. It is the number one collegiate summer league. All the best prospects go there. And then within New England, there's several other leagues, including the NECBL, which locally the Mystic Schooners are a part of. They played at Dodd the last couple summers before this year, and they've been around a little longer than us, so they've got a little better reputation in terms of sending better players there. But our league is gaining ground, and having watched the NECBL closely two summers in a row, I could see that our league is definitely picking up a lot more on the talent level. But the other difference is that the NECBL, most of the teams don't necessarily do all that zany fun stuff that the traditional minor league type of promotions, right. And our league thrives on that. And so we give these players a great place to not only hone their craft, but to play in front of good crowds with great atmospheres. And 2022 it got a little better. Obviously 2023 was great because not only did we have a solid year going attendance wise, but then we finished it off with a championship, and that brought a whole lot of more momentum into 2024. And the one thing I hear from the players all the time is how great the atmosphere is to play here.
Not only that, but just even for me to be there, it's a blast. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
I have a really good time. Now, for example, like I'm going to save actually some of these questions for Adam. Actually, that I was going to ask about a couple of the players and stuff like that. This means nothing about anything, but tell us about Ed. Tell us about Ed. This guy's a legend.
Well, he's a legend in his own mind anyway. But no, Ed Wyan, our public address announcer, he's been at Dodd Stadium for,
I think he said 24 years.
20-something years.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact year, but he goes back to the AA Navigator days. He's also, up at UConn a lot with a lot of their sports, baseball in particular, and soccer and some other stuff. And big New London guy, does a lot of the New London sports as well. He grew up down there, lives down there, and he's good.
Yeah.
Not everybody likes his style, but that's true of anything. There are listeners of yours that don't like your style, I'm sure. So
no, they're family members that don't like me.
but Ed's,
don't like you.
Shut up.
But Ed's great. Ed does exactly what we need him to do every single night, and whether you like his style or not is up to you. But he's a great PA announcer for what we're doing at Dodd Stadium, and we love having him around.
I think you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, you say the college kids, do you guys go out and scout them, or does the college say, hey, we got these players we want to?
Little of both. Yeah. So our coaches have great relationships with a lot of college coaches through their, own time playing or coaching at the college level. And, so the coaches will reach out. Sometimes the players even reach out too. If they don't feel like their coaches are doing a good enough job trying to place them, the players will reach out as well on their own. And whenever I get those emails, it's an automatic forward to our coaching staff, because I'm not going to pick somebody for the team that I don't know anything about. This is my 3rd year as GM, 4th year overall with this team in this league. And I've asked the coaches to take one player in that whole time. And it was because I knew the player. I had played with and against his father growing up and seen the player play. And so it was, something where I said, this kid can help us. And I asked the coaching staff to take him on. But at the same time, if they didn't really want him, I wouldn't have forced them to take him. So.
Yeah. So they come here and you got to, they stay here for the summer, I presume.
Most of them do, yeah. They'll come here with innings pitching limits, or, they might get tired or they want to go home for a little while. But the vast majority of them are here for the entire summer. We start in late May. We finish in early August. And, so it's a long season, but they go home for a week or so, give or take, depending on their school. And then they're right back in school, starting up fall baseball and fall classes.
Do they get any kind of financial assistance while they're here? Or no, it's just strictly.
They actually pay us a registration fee to be here.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's interesting.
That's
kind of like
that's
in
how you
reverse.
do.
It's kind of like in reverse.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Wow.
Scott Fryer has a comment here, and you can comment on it if you want to. It's just a statement. It goes, pure baseball with young men who are playing hard and for the right reasons. I love that we have this in our area. And then he goes on to say, Ben Rice played in the Futures League, Worcester Bravehearts. Love watching the young talent that comes through Dodd Stadium. With that being said, there's going to be more baseball at Dodge Stadium.
There is at least one more year. Our current lease had a mutual option in it. The city and our ownership have started to renegotiate that mutual option for one more year. It's not completely signed yet, but during the All-Star game last week, the mayor came out and said that there will be Sea Unicorns baseball for at least one more year in 2025. So immediately after hearing that, my mind started turning to, okay, let's get the promotional schedule set. And, we obviously got time to finish up on this season, but next year will be the 5th anniversary of Sea Unicorns Futures League Baseball. So we'll obviously follow up the 30 seasons of Dodd promo this year with some 5th anniversary stuff for next year.
So it's fun. It's fun because like I usually run the camera right outside the press box.
Yeah.
And I have all these guys that sit around me, and I call them my OGs, my chickens, because they talk and they're spicy, and then they I guess Heather helps them. Heather gets them their tickets, or
one of them's mine, and then Heather has the others.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So there's one guy named Bruce. He's from the Willimantic area somewhere down that way, and his daughter Carrie. And you get it's funny because I got to learn about these people I probably never would have before, and this is really just all coming to the ballpark. And now all of a sudden I'm not a camper guy. I'm just somebody else in the crowd. Then you got Walt, who doesn't say a whole lot about anything, but he's a hoot. And he was the only one out of the OGs last night that showed up. I was ticked off.
Wow.
John didn't even show up last night. I was like, tweet. I don't think his wife let him. So, oh my God. I'm going to call Adam when he's on the air tonight. Just going to call him. He keeps calling. So watch this.
Not gonna make it.
Hi, we're on the air, so you are too now.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I think I'm in the room behind you.
Yeah, you go through the exit sign door. You got to go all the way to the front of the building.
Okay. So I didn't know what I was doing.
No, that's right. There he is. Play by Plager. There he is. Come on in. Yeah, scooch a chair right on over next to Lee. Good to see you, man. Go right. I mean, just like you guys are like best friends.
Yeah, pretend you like your boss.
You can use the stool if it's. It actually might be better because it's higher. Yeah, you'll look like somebody from Munchkinland. Can we say that?
But you got to wear the Burger King hat too.
You can say much.
Yeah, you got to wear the Burger King hat. Really, there's two of them there.
Two hats.
No. So anyway, we're being joined by Adam Plager, who's the play-by-play announcer for the Norwich Sea Unicorns, and that I've had the pleasure of getting to work with all summer long. It was a rocky start. But it worked out really, really good, and we put a nice team together. Yeah. So how did you find this guy?
Well, the short story is that he goes to school with our coach's brother, and so Kevin Murphy, our manager, had said, my brother goes to school with this guy. He's kind of interested in possibly coming out as a play-by-play guy. Do you mind if I have him contact you? And of course, I mean, I'm gonna listen to anybody that might have a chance. And so Adam reached out with his reel and with his resume, and I was pretty impressed. And I don't typically like to bring in interns from outside the area because I have enough trouble with housing for the players.
Sure.
So
yeah.
That's always a struggle. But Adam impressed me, and I thought it was going to be a good fit, and so we decided to bring him on board. He was actually our first intern hire for this year, and what was even better was he was coming up with all these ideas based on stuff he does at school for programs and this, that, and the other, and actually got to work on some of that stuff while he was busy at school calling games for hockey and whatever other sports he calls out there, and does a great job with.
Oh, did you teach Mike anything? I'm sure you did. Because he needs a lot of learning.
He doesn't, one thing I did notice about him doing play-by-play is he always keeps ahead of himself at least a couple of sentences. He keeps going. You don't think I notice this stuff, but I do. he knows what he's talking about. It's very, very rare that he stutters or he doesn't know where he's going with a statement. And you learn that a lot by doing, predominantly he's done this all season by himself, in the broadcast booth, announcing. So you're a young guy. So how long have you actually been doing this? And I mean, is this something that is just in your blood, or tell us?
I mean, I grew up listening to hockey and baseball. Ducks and Angels were my two teams growing up. Obviously, Doc Emmerich, one of the best in hockey, and Vince Scully with the LA Dodgers. Being a Southern California kid, I think just turning on the game and hearing what he does call a game certainly opened my eyes. I played hockey and baseball growing up and always wanted to be a part of sports in some way, shape, or form. And I think having the best seat in the house is the best way to be able to do that. And really started to take it serious my freshman year of college. Got cut from our college hockey team, but realized there was still a pathway to work in sports. And, broadcasting for me has kind of been that pathway. It's been a lot of fun and getting to come out here and work with the Norwich Sea Unicorns, the Futures League team. And obviously the team on the field is doing really well, but obviously a great front office staff, and couldn't ask for anything more.
Okay, that was a good suck up line there, Lee.
This late in the season, he didn't need to, but
No.
we'll take it.
You're here, dude. You don't have to do that. Lee sucks. No. You can tell me, man. You can go ahead. You can spit it out.
I've heard it a few times. It's cool.
You're very intense. I will say that during the game and stuff like that.
Well, I don't even know if I'd call it intensity as much as it's focus.
Okay.
It's and then you got to remember too that I haven't had a groundskeeper there in 4 years, so I do a lot of the field work, which wears you down throughout the day.
Yeah.
Thank God for my kid and a few other kids that come in and help with the groundwork, field work, and stuff. But yeah, it's focus. It's we have a plan in place for the promotions, for getting the fans in, getting concessions taken, and it's just, is everything going well throughout the day? And I do my best to stop and talk to fans, put on a smile face, but it's definitely focus. It's not intensity. I know a lot of people are always asking me why I'm always so angry. It's not anger.
Oh, I don't think you're angry at all. Matter of fact, I was in the booth one day, and you were down there with your son, and he was raking home plate, or the area around home plate, and you were on the pitcher's mound. And I just looked out there, and I'm like, here's just a couple of guys just love baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were there too. I think you were in there. Ed was there. Mike, the kid that's running on crutches right now. I said, these guys just love baseball. You can tell. Yeah. And it's like, they don't bitch. They don't moan. They just go and they do their stuff. And they get the game on. And then they're tired. They go home. They, rinse and repeat. So, I mean, do you hear that from people? I mean, you can see it.
Yeah, I definitely hear that too. Since taking over as GM, now finishing up the third season, people recognize how hard I work and the long hours and everything that goes into it. And, I appreciate that because I don't do it to be recognized personally. I do it for our organization to be recognized as great for the community. One of the things, few days before the All-Star game, we had a business after hours with the Greater Norwich Area Chamber of Commerce. And during that, they recognized Dodd Stadium for its 30th season, as we had been celebrating that all year long. And both the mayor and Angela Adams from the GNAC had tons of great things to say about me personally. But I always deflect that into the organization because I'm only as good as the rest of the staff around us too. And I feel like we have a very good staff of not only full-timers, but part-timers who just care, and as you've grown to care about what's going on at Dodd Stadium, that's all I can ask for. And if that's going well, if the staff is doing well, then I've done my job, because part of my job is to not only put on a good show for everybody, but to help our staff develop as professionals, whether it be to continue working for us or to move on to other organizations later in life. And so, mentoring is probably my favorite part of what I'm doing. And, clearly my favorite mentee has been my son, who has been with us. He's out there as much as I am, like you mentioned, and he gets there, maybe an hour or two after I do most days, but he's usually leaving when I do. And so it's been a lot of fun to be able to do that and prepare my son for his professional career as he finishes up college.
Plays a wicked Uncle Sam, too. He really does.
Yeah, he's become quite the
He's
character.
all in, man. He's all in.
He is very all in. He's actually so all in that his advisors in college have said, you really need to step out of your comfort zone for your next internship.
It's even the little banter between him and Ed.
Yeah. Oh,
Where
yeah.
he's on there, I'm back, Ed. Anyway. You talk about your staff and like there's a lot of them that I don't know, but you walk on the concourse, hey, how are you? Everybody's really, really friendly. The players are extremely friendly.
Yeah.
I don't know any of them.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate in the 4 years now that we've been in the league to have players who have been extremely friendly. I don't typically sit and get to know them the way somebody like Adam would. I just, I like to know the guys a little bit, but, it's not my job to interact with them on a daily basis.
Sure.
I want to make sure that things are okay. If guys are hurt, I'll check in on them, things like that. But they are all super friendly and will definitely, share a hello, how you doing kind of thing. And you can't ask for anything more than that because the last thing you want is a bunch of players come in here who act like a bunch of schmucks, turn off the fans, and then the fans don't come back. So it's a huge part of it for us that the players are friendly.
So speaking of that, tell us about Heather. Heather, I've gotten to know a little bit, not really know her,
Sure.
but I mean, hi Heather, hi.
Yeah.
She'll.
So Heather is Heather's local. She grew up in Franklin, went to NFA, went to UConn, and started working at Dodge Stadium back in 1995.
See, I don't think people realize what a big part she is.
She is Dodge Stadium.
Yeah.
I joke with her all the time that no matter what happens to Dodge Stadium, Heather comes with it.
Yeah.
Whether it be another baseball team or if someday the baseball stadium is not there anymore, Heather just comes with it. And, that people are just going to have to deal with it. And so, but no, she started there as a 16-year-old in concessions, tried to briefly leave for Washington, D.C. after college, and it wasn't for her. So she came back. And,
she lost that presidential bid, huh?
Yeah, she did. She was too young at the time. But she came back and hooked on with at the time the Connecticut Defenders full time, and then when the Connecticut Tigers came in, she was able to come in full time with them as well. And when I got promoted to GM, she got promoted to assistant GM, and she does a ton of work behind the scenes that nobody realizes, and it really helps me out a lot too because in previous incarnations of our front office, the GM did a lot of the things that she's doing. But if I was doing those, then the field would not be in good shape because we'd have nobody to do the field. So Heather and I work really, really well together, and I couldn't do it without her for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking right about the field too, because I mean, for a while it was so hot, and you had literally scorched earth out there, and there's still a couple of patches. I don't think there's any to do, but now it looks so much better. You guys did such a great job with this field.
So fortunately, we were able to recognize pretty quickly what the problems were, and we didn't know it because the irrigation runs overnight. Nobody's there monitoring it. But what had happened was there was about 6 or 7 irrigation heads that weren't fully turning properly. Okay. And with that heat and humidity, it just, was not good. And so we got a plan in place. We got the irrigation heads fixed immediately. Yep. And in some areas, we did some seeding. But the seeding was tough that time of the year. It's not the best time to seed.
Right.
We had actually just had a chemical spray done maybe a couple weeks prior to that is kind of a pre-emergent. So it keeps weeds and everything else from growing. So we didn't know how it was actually going to react with the seeding part of it. And so we took our chances. And thankfully, I think the water more than anything has helped. And Mother Nature certainly helped too. It had been very dry. Yeah. Mother Nature wasn't helping us the way it had in previous years. Now, all of a sudden, Mother Nature's gone too far the other way. But it does save me on my water bill a little bit, which is good. So, but we've gotten most of it back in place. I was obviously very concerned heading into the All-Star game and how it was going to look. And we did think about putting some pigment on the field to make it look more green. But I thought it had grown in well enough by then that I wasn't too concerned about it.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, considering what it was.
Yeah.
So
it had gotten bad. And it's not the first time it's gotten bad on us. When we joined this league in 2021, our former groundskeeper, Ryan Leffler, had just left for the Worcester Red Sox as an assistant GM up there, assistant groundskeeper up there. And at the time, I was the only one there that knew anything about taking care of a field. So
here we are.
Volunteered, and unfortunately, I'm still volunteering. But that first year, we had a couple of irrigation zones that weren't working properly, and with a full-time groundskeeper, it's not as big a deal. He could go out there, dig up the boxes to turn on the water manually. But I didn't have time for that because I was also still trying to do my sales job.
Right.
So unfortunately, a lot of grass had browned out pretty bad. But it forced us to find the right irrigation company to come in and help fix those boxes so that they now work properly with the entire system.
So a lot of people, and I didn't know, and you find out, it really is, there's the team that's on the field,
Mhm.
but then there is a ton of people behind that
Of course.
that actually make it run,
Right.
which I think we've learned a little bit about today. So we talked about a little bit of history on the Sea Unicorns. We talked about what's going to happen next year. What was it like holding the All-Star game? And then I'll let you get the heck out of here because I know you have you have things you need to tend to today before the game tonight. So
but hosting the All-Star game was awesome. Last year when we were starting to think about what was going to happen for this year, we knew that it was the 30th season of Dodd Stadium, and we wanted to have a season-long, promotion about that. And so we started thinking, how cool would it be to bring the All-Star game here for that 30th season? It would be the 4th All-Star game in Dodd Stadium history, and we could just have a lot of fun with it. And then as the season went on and we started getting better on the field, and then it was like, okay, cool. Now we might be a really good team being able to host the All-Star game as well. And then being able to win the championship and being able to have that as part of it just was like the perfect storm to be able to want to host the All-Star game. The process for putting in for the All-Star game in our league is not very complicated. You pretty much just raise your hand if you're interested, and nobody else raised their hand. So, it was easy enough. Yeah. Well, and it's funny because we joke with New Britain all the time. They actually hosted it 2 years in a row. The first year was kind of a COVID related year. And then the second year, they wanted to rehost it because of, not doing as well with COVID. And so that the common joke now with New Britain is, you sure you don't want it? You sure? But, this year, Vermont had a very successful All-Star game last year. Vermont obviously is, class of the league in terms of attendance. Burlington's a great town, and they do so great with attendance up there, and had an awesome All-Star experience up there, even though I missed it because we were here for other action at the stadium. And, so to follow that was going to be tough. But I feel like we held our own. We put together a very good program, and the weather held out.
Yeah.
And, I was very concerned about the home run derby because we all know that baseballs are, not traveling out of Dodd Stadium very easily. But
why is that? Is it because they're up on a hill? Or
I think there's a few reasons for it. One, that fence is very deep,
400 to dead center. Yeah.
400 to dead center. The power alleys are at least 375. I mean, you look at the foul lines, and right at the pole, they're 309, but it immediately jumps out to at least 325, about 10 feet past that. And then, I think the atmosphere up there is just different. We talk about it all the time on fireworks nights where you can see that the flags are blowing out to center field and the trees are kind of twisting, but what's going on up above the trees is very different. And more often than not, it's actually blowing in towards home plate. So if the ball gets up high enough, it's going to get affected by that. Yeah. And, so that's a big reason for it. But I was very happy that not a single home run derby participant put up a 0. Single round high was 5, and the overall winner, I believe, had 10. So, while it wasn't
Toronto from New Britain,
Jackson Marshall, Worcester Bravehearts.
Yeah,
he's the one that won it.
Yeah, Toronto had the single round high of 5, and then Jackson Marshall was the overall winner. And and I'll tell you, those guys hit some balls that would have been out of just about every other park in our league. But I think they all had a lot of fun with it and the challenge that it brought. And and then Tuesday night, the weather, I was very concerned about that all week leading up to that, but it held out. And we put on what I thought was a really good show, and I got a lot of compliments from around the league, and still rolling in. So I thought it was good.
The New Britain games?
What about the New Britain?
Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the All-Star games.
All right. I thought you were talking about the New Britain games.
No,
I'll talk to Adam about that.
We're still talking All-Star games.
Oh, yeah. So I know you got to get the heck out of here.
Yes.
You got a Zoom call.
Yep.
And I'll see you later.
Ready for the playoffs. So we will have playoff baseball next week. So we will definitely – the league hasn't officially told me this yet, but I've done all the math, so they can't tell me any different. We will be home Monday night for Game 1 of the playoffs, weather permitting. We don't know who we're going to play yet. That might come down to Sunday's regular season game finales to figure that out. But playoff baseball back at Dodge Stadium for next week for sure. And certainly tonight we've got a huge night planned, fan appreciation night against Vermont. We've got live band that makes up for earlier in the season on a rain out. We've got our championship replica ring giveaway, and of course ending the night with fireworks. So looking to set maybe our Futures League crowd record for tonight too. We've got a lot of people coming in already, and we'd love to see a lot more people come out and have some fun.
I think it'd be it. Paul, you're going to be there, right? Bring all your cats.
Sure.
Sorry, no pets allowed.
Well, then then pet cats can come. They can leave you home.
I haven't been there in quite a few years.
See, that's really kind of where I was at.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then I just kind of felt, I told him the other day, I said, I just fell in love with it. I just fell in love with the stadium and everything that goes on around here. And it's a good time.
A lot of time when the Navigators were there.
Yeah. The Navigators / Defenders left after 2009.
Yeah.
And then the New York Penn League team that came from Oneonta, New York, Connecticut Tigers from 2010 through what turned out to be 2019. It's still the same organization, too. I think a lot of people don't know that, but we are the same organization. It's still the same ownership group. And Heather and I are the only ones left from the full-time staff that was here, but it's still the same organization. And just trying to do all the same things and freshen things up still too. Like every year we're looking for something new that we can put in. Even day to day we're looking for something new that we can put in, and just having a lot of fun with it. And before I take off though, Mike, I do want to thank you on air for all that you and the SNSN crew have done to
pleasure.
Increase our broadcast capabilities. The single camera thing was good for a while, but to move into the new century has been very nice this year, and I can't thank you enough for all that you guys have done, and looking forward to having you guys back next year as well.
I'm looking forward to it. I was so happy because I didn't want to ask you because I didn't want to get knocked down, right, kind of thing. But like I said, it's I'm a fan. I told him, I think last night, I said, you better be back. So
well, we'll see how that one plays out.
We all worked really hard to put this team together.
It's been great. And, and we knew early on there'd be struggles, especially because I asked you last minute. I mean, if you hadn't happened to be at Dodge Stadium for a Griswold game late in the spring season,
this may not have happened.
This probably would not have happened because I didn't really think much of it because I didn't know how many cameras you had. I didn't know how many bodies you would have.
Yep.
And thank God you showed up that day and we were able to have that conversation and pull it together so quickly. And now with a full year of planning, we'll be even better next year.
Yeah, I'm hoping for it.
And then as far as this guy goes, I guess we'll see what his aspirations are. So.
I've already talked about things about doing like I want to get earpieces, for like the center fielder and mic them up and see if we can do stuff like that. I think it's going to be fun. All right, you better get the heck out of here.
Yes. Dude, all right. Well, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Mike, we'll see you tonight.
See you tonight.
Seeing you again. Yeah. Adam, we'll see you at the stadium, buddy.
Sure, awesome.
All right.
All right. That's
Enjoy
Lee.
the rest of the show, guys.
Thanks. Yep. That's Lee Walter. Oh, Lloyd Van Lannen. Van says hi. Looking forward to the game in the playoffs. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Adam, I'm going to have you move over. Come on over to the big chair there. And we are just going to go ahead and pay homage to a couple of our sponsors and supporters. And we're going to talk to Adam Plager in just a minute right here on the Streaming News and Sports Network, SNSN.
Better it burns. Much better. So much better it burns. The right insurance at the right price. You buy better it burns. You buy better it burns. You buy better.
The Burns Agency is a full-service organization with insurance products ranging from business owner policy needs to personal insurance like home, auto, and umbrella. Some companies can make that a one-stop shop. That's why we value partnering with insurance companies like Arbella Insurance. Like us, they offer a range of insurance coverage for our valued clients. Having your most valuable assets covered by a single insurance carrier, serviced by a local agent, is priceless. The Burns Agency proudly partners with Arbella to bring you insurance coverage at competitive pricing. The Burns Agency, proudly serving Eastern Connecticut since 1932.
Better. Better it burns. Much better. So much better it burns. The right insurance at the right price. You buy better it burns. You buy better it burns. You buy better.
Has arrived. They're your local auto super center. Put some excitement in your day and rent a Polaris Slingshot from Strain Family Motors, adjacent to the Green Onion Restaurant on River Road. Check out Strain Family Motors Super Center on Facebook as well as strainfamilymotors.com for everything sales, service, and excitement. River Road, Lisbon, Strain Family Motors, your local auto super center.
Why are we getting killed like this?
Kyle's not here. Got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah, 0 tolerance. He's out for the season.
Harsh.
Hey, he knew not to drink. We've made that clear to all of our kids, right?
No, not really.
Bill, if we don't tell them what we expect and why they shouldn't drink, how are they going to know?
Talk. They hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Dentist. In a word, yes. Especially if that dentist is Dr. Katzoff and the staff at Griswold Dental Associates. They follow all the latest safety protocols while doing what they do best, taking care of you. From preventive to restorative, your dental care couldn't be in better hands. To schedule your appointment, call Griswold Dental Associates today, 860-376-2626. That's 860-376-2626.
City Savings Bank's commitment to helping local businesses fuel growth was recognized by the Small Business Administration and readers of the Commercial Record. We invite you to put our winning commercial lending team to work for your business. Because when local businesses succeed, we all win. To learn more, visit jcsbank.com. Jewett City Savings Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. We're going to spend the next 15, 20 minutes continuing on with our chat with folks from the Norwich Sea Unicorns. We want to go ahead and also thank a couple of our sponsors as well. P7 Construction. Find them on Facebook, P7 Construction LLC. From anything from new construction, remodels, new roofs, whatever you got. Check them out. P7 Construction. How about moving from construction on over to real estate? Let's talk about that. How about Capital Property Group? They can do everything. I use that word. I should probably use that word a little more sparingly, everything. But if you have a condo association or you have a bunch of real estate investments that you just don't have the time to manage, Capital Property Group can be that company that can do that for you. And then send you a check every month, just like Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'd be glad to come out. I wash toilets. Yeah,
at home too. Capital Property Group LLC. Check them out on Facebook. All right. Every single morning, our coffee is supplied right in our cups here. Look at it. You got to use.
Oh, I got to eat my left hand.
Way,
That's
dude.
the wrong side, man. Left-handed.
Sponsored by Dean's Corner Diner. That is on Main Street here in Jewett City. Find them on Facebook as well as DoorDash. And their sister restaurant, Rubino's Full Circle, established 1959, right over on Route 138. Do you remember the restaurant that used to be there? Back in the day, the original. Now, it was Rubino's twice. Once as a drive-in kind of restaurant, and now as a sit-down. About 25 years apart. What was the original?
A lot of ice cream was there at one time.
Yeah.
They had the open window.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the restaurant. Buzzies. You're right.
It was
Buzzies.
And then it was Spencer's Island or Spence's Island.
Yeah.
Where they had miniature golf.
Oh, I don't remember the miniature golf.
Yeah. Here's one that people have forgot. The Divine Swine. Do you remember that one?
No.
It was all barbecue. It was actually
a pig roast?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Actually, I took my son Nick there one time before we went to Mohegan Sun for a show.
Oh, wow.
And we thought it was good, and the next thing you know, it's gone.
Wow.
So, and there's been a few other things as well, but
yeah,
That's it. Anyway, Adam, how are you?
Doing well. It's good to be here. Glad I finally figured out which way to go here.
You're not the only one.
It's great to be here. Glad to be on
for the morning show and talk a little baseball, talk some broadcast. I mean, I don't know a better combination.
You're not the only one that can't find this room back here. This is like, like the secret door. For some reason, people just can't find it, which is not a bad thing sometimes. Tell us about your, as a young broadcaster and getting into the business and hearing that you're going to come to Connecticut and be the play-by-play guy for the Norwich Sea Unicorns.
Yeah, I think it started last summer. I was working single A baseball with the Pittsburgh Pirates, Bradenton Marauders, and I think that experience, that opportunity was very eye-opening. I wasn't their play-by-play broadcaster, but behind the scenes, and Spencer Smith was their play-by-play broadcaster at the time in 2022. He was awesome, took me under his wing and really helped teach me a lot of things that I now implement to when I call games and broadcast. And Kevin Murphy, the manager, who's been great. I think he's one of the nicest human beings around. You always see him. He's always positive, always happy to say hello. And I happen to go to school with his brother, like Lee talked about. And Connor Murphy's the captain of our lacrosse team. I can't say enough good things about the Murphy family.
Mm-hmm. I met his dad, Tim, the other day.
Yeah, they're great people. And
very nice guy.
Connor goes up to me, and I interview him all the time, a stand-up guy at Lake Forest College, and was a part of that first recruiting class to bring our lacrosse team back to Lake Forest after it gotten defunct for 27 years. Coach Phil Dotson brought the program back. They made it to the second round of the NCAA tournament.
Nice.
And I didn't even know that he had a brother that worked in baseball. And he's like, "You want a summer job calling baseball games?" And I said, "That would be great." And he got me in contact with his brother, who got me in contact with Lee Walter, our general manager. And right away, it was, I want to say September, October, I told Lee I'd really like to wrap this up and make it official that I'm going to come out here before the start of hockey season, the college hockey season. And we did that. I think by November 1st, I had committed to come out here for the summer. And
oh, really? So it's been that long. I didn't realize it. I thought maybe it was like, sometime in like January. Hey, you want to come out? Yeah. All right. I had no idea. It was like a year ago.
Yeah, it was pretty quick, and a lot of motivation too from being down there in Bradenton with an affiliated baseball team, seeing the way that they run their program, the way they run their show, and I want
the Pirates.
Right. Yeah. And I had that vision to continue to do that here. And as you said, rocky start. But once we got things working and brought Jesse on board, and I mean, I can't say enough good things about just the way he goes about doing his business and just making sure everything's taken care of, and full camera crew now. I think we started with one camera operator running the camera now, high first, in the dugout at third. And then you saw the All-Star game, right? And we had the on-field interviews, and you don't do that without a camera operator down there. And Mike Neville, a part of the Norwich Sea Unicorns as well, to do some interviews too. But things really started to take shape. But
nobody did what we did.
Nobody
did what we did.
So where's hometown? Where you come from?
I'm from Southern California, Orange County. So that's why I refer to the Ducks and Angels as my two teams growing up, and diehard Angels and Ducks fan. And
I understand. Red Sox.
So, I just grew up in Southern California, but started leaving home at the age of 16, playing travel hockey, junior hockey too. Played in Iowa for a year when I was 16. Left home again to play in Nashville, and then Dallas, Connecticut, New Jersey, Florida.
So getting up and moving on just is not new to you. This is just, see, he's destined to be a broadcaster, because if you can just pick up and go, then
that's pretty tough.
You're gonna
somebody that young.
Yeah, especially not just that, but anybody. If anybody that has any kind of roots or ties and they don't want to leave a certain area, to be able to, have that desire to, get up East Coast today, West Coast tomorrow, that's pretty remarkable. And that is something that you need as a broadcaster, because you don't know.
Right.
You just don't know where you're going to end up.
No, you're right.
Like we talked about, or Don Orsillo, I had mentioned to you one day. He was the Red Sox play-by-play guy with Jerry Remy for many years, and they were hilarious, and they had incredible chemistry. And he left the Red Sox, and boom, now he's in San Diego. He's been in San Diego almost a decade now, I would think. But
Good for you.
What do you want to do past the Sea Unicorns? I mean, where do you want to go? With that. I mean, of course, everybody says, "Oh, the sky's the limit," but like, do you have a particular organization that you kind of like see yourself in the next, like, say, let's talk about the next 5 years, because you're a very young man. You were 24.
23.
23. So really, before you're 30, where do you want to see yourself as a broadcaster?
I mean, I think the easy goal is to say Major League Baseball or the National Hockey League, but I have a roadmap for myself, and certainly, I mean, you're not going to just graduate college and get a gig like that with a team at that level. I've had the opportunity to do some job shadows with the Hartford Yard Goats this summer with Jeff Dooley, who's a stand-up guy. He's really awesome, super humble, down to earth, and he let me go into the broadcast booth with them in Hartford, put the headset on, and listen to the way he calls the game. And I think 35 years of professional broadcasting experience. Him and Dan with the Hartford Yard Goats, they're a great team. The way that they orchestrate their broadcast, but just like listening to the way he calls the game and all the advice he said. And I think my goal short term is to get a job with an affiliated team, whether it's minor league hockey or minor league baseball. I think those are the two avenues I'd like to go down. Just the familiarity I have with the sport, how deeply involved I was playing both of those games. And I think that's the goal. And there's nothing better than summer baseball to hone your skills, hone your craft before you take the luggage and go to move
somewhere
on
else,
to the next city. And I think being able to do this here, play every single day. And that's the one thing I told Lee is for college. And I think college hockey is my number one, and our softball team, number two, with our lacrosse team. For college hockey, they only play Friday and Saturday nights. And all I do from on Sunday through Thursday is prepare game notes after game notes after game notes. And I sent it to Lee, and it was a 20-page thing. And he's like, wow, don't know if you're going to have time to do that here in Norwich. We play night after night after night, which I think is great for me because it simulates, you watch a major league season. Even the NHL, they play 3 or 4 nights a week, but Major League Baseball, 162 games over a 6-month stretch. Yes, what the players are doing on the field is incredible, but you see the guys up in the booth, the way they call the game, the way they stay informed. It's unbelievable, really. And to keep that stamina, and if you're a fan and say you're watching a team that isn't doing well on the field, your last resort's the broadcaster calling the game. If you can't entertain somebody to keep them interested in the team on the field, no matter what the situation or the circumstances. And I think that's been great for me, where every single day for, I think, 10-week stretch, 11-week stretch, it's consistently calling games, which I think has been outstanding to just get that opportunity.
I'll tell you this, Paul. I would get there. Sometimes, I don't know, at the beginning it was like 2-3 hours before a game just to make sure things were set up, and it was a disaster at first. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. But then, things really evened out and stuff. So we get there usually now about 90 minutes before the game. And you walk into the press box, and what do you see? There's Adam. He's right there preparing, doing, stuff for social media and, just getting ready for the game at hand. He could have been there all night, as far as I know, but he works very, very hard in prepping. So, there's going to be a day where I'm going to flip on the TV and I'm going to catch an Angels game, and there he is. I wanted to ask you about, and it really has nothing to do with you as a broadcaster, but one of the things we kind of touched on with Lee is like balls aren't flying out of there, out of Dodge Stadium. And I was always curious about this, and maybe you can go ahead and comment on it, is that I would look at the box scores when the Unicorns were away. And once in a while you see a home run in Alex Irizarry, right? He had 3 home runs. He had a home run. It was like his number 3rd. It was his 3rd. And I think that was up in Worcester that he hit it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where the F are these guys hitting home runs? And why can't they do it here?
Well, I'll tell you about Fenton Field. It's on the campus of Holy Cross. And I've had the pleasure to travel with the team a couple times to Worcester and just do some mock audio broadcasts just to get some work in.
Sure.
And when you have a lefty batter like Alex Irizarry, and we had 4 home runs that night against the Worcester Bravehearts in what was a 16-13 game we didn't win, but the ball flies out of that ballpark, and it's way easier. The fences aren't as high there. It backs right up into their football stadium, and Obviously, he was able to get a hold of a couple.
Yeah.
But you could just tell that park is meant to be a hitter's-friendly yard. It's certainly not as deep as Norwich and Dodge Stadium.
Yeah. I was wondering about that because
And you're playing down, the elevation's a little lower. I feel like in Norwich, kind of up on the hills, it's a little harder to hit it up towards that altitude as well.
Mm.
And like Lee mentioned, it's 309, but you got to pull it straight down the line. And if it curves a little bit, it's immediately into 325 territory. I don't know the exact dimensions at Worcester. I know the ball flies out of the yard at Bullens Field, which is the home of the Westfield Starfires, where there's been another home run hit. I know we've hit a home run on the road at New Britain, but that wall looks like the Green Monster.
Yeah.
And it's almost all the way around.
Yeah. In New Britain.
In New Britain.
Yeah,
It's not as deep, which helps out. And I don't know, maybe we got a bunch of gems in our pitching staff, and the other team brings their best stuff. But yeah, it's a pitcher's friendly yard, and I was a pitcher growing up. It would be a treat to get to pitch at Dodge Stadium because I know more times than not, even the one that Jack Sweeney hit last night, that was scolded. And props to the outfielder on the other team to make the catch at the warning track. But I think most yards in this league, and he's a righty bat, and I think it's almost impossible for a right-handed hitter to hit it out of the ballpark. I think that's going out of.
Unless you're with the Worcester Bravehearts and you're 6'10".
Right, Jackson Marshall.
Jeez.
He's going to be fun to watch at Southern New Hampshire.
Yeah, he's going to be fun to watch if he goes further.
Right, and he's playing basketball there too. He's dual sport athlete.
Really?
Yeah.
So, one more thing I want to ask you about before we wrap it up is how exciting, because I know it was incredibly exciting for me, and I was going to ask Lee this one, but I figured, I'm going to save this one for Adam. How exciting was it to call a no-hitter?
It was pretty special, and
especially the first one in Dodge Stadium history.
The first one in Dodge Stadium history, as you said, or
Sea
correct,
Unicorns.
and Norwich Sea Unicorns history too. It was pretty special, and I think once I saw Hector rolling through the fourth and fifth, I was like, "There's something special happening here."
Yeah,
but
you don't say anything.
And you don't say anything.
You didn't want to jinx it.
And I was very courteous in everything that I said. Even that last mound visit, I was just like, this is just a chance for him to soak it up after he had walked a batter with 2 outs. But he was so dominant that night. All of his pitches were working, and it's so fun to watch. And I think what was even more special was the way the defense plays behind him. Every time Hector's on the mound, we know that he's a workhorse for this team, by far and away the ace of the staff. But it's the life he injects into the defense. I mean, diving plays everywhere in the outfield. I don't think we saw more defensive highlights. And there had been some sloppy baseball defensively, no questions about that. And every time
they were working for their teammate that night.
They were, and that's I think what makes it special. And once we got into the seventh inning and later, I was like, is Hector going to come back up? Because normally in summer baseball now,
they pull him because the amount of innings.
Right, they got pitch limits now, and they only got so many bullets they can use. And obviously, the pride of UConn, and he's going to be special when he goes back there. I think he's going to see the baseball a lot more when he goes back next year. And he's been on a mission here this summer, I think, to prove a lot of people about what he's about. Struggled a little bit the last couple of years at UConn to find his footing, but I think Coach Kevin Murphy made it certain to him that he told Hector, hey, this is just a chance for you to get the baseball, get repetitions, but I wasn't sure if he was going to let him continue to go.
Right.
I think even in the ninth, too, it was a little bit of a longer delay before we saw someone go to the mound, and I was like, please allow him to start this inning. He allows a base runner. Okay, maybe, but he only threw 86 pitches that night. I think that's what he got lost.
He was very economical. He was very economical with his pitches.
8 first pitch outs. I mean, everything that he was doing was spot on. I think first pitch strikes was over 70%.
It was in the cards, man. It was just in the cards.
And when I was a kid growing up in 2014, I went to a Clayton Kershaw no-hitter against the San Diego Padres.
Which he was the Dodgers.
Yeah. And I was at the game, and I wish I could have heard Vince Scully call it, but just you could hear a pin drop at times in that ballpark because no one wanted to talk about it, and everyone was staying quiet about it. But he's so good for them, and to see that, and then once I realized fifth, sixth inning, something special starting to happen here. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime moment. You never know when something like that's going to happen again. And I think a walk and an air shy from a perfect game that night. It was unreal what he did.
So this is the second coming of Vince Scully, just so you know.
Oh.
He's the second coming.
How many times have you watched the game on TV, whether it be baseball, basketball, whatever, and the guy's perfect at what they're doing, and then they say something and the guy blows it because the guy opens his mouth. So why are they doing that?
You don't. That's what I mean. That's why when
you see that a lot on TV where, this guy's 9 for 9, and all of a sudden blows it.
I mean, the broadcast.
You don't jinx it. You don't jinx it.
Well, I know, but that's what a lot of them do.
Well, so they're stupid.
And I think, and I was an athlete myself, which I think is another vantage point that I have is at one point I was on that same field as them competing and playing. And I recognized immediately, obviously, if I'm a player on the field, I was superstitious when I played hockey
or
baseball. And I was like, okay, it's the same for me. I'm trying to help them get to what they want to do. I just get to talk about it. But I recognize that it's going to be my voice behind it, which I think is so special. And for it to be the first one in Sea Unicorn history, I couldn't think of a better candidate for it. How hard Hector's worked to get to that point, to get to that stage. There was a car accident he was involved in. He'd been hit by a car. Didn't know if he was going to get to pitch again. And I think you can tell every time that kid takes them out, he takes it like it's going to be his last. And he got to do something special. And then we saw him pitch again 1 week later, go 6 innings of one-run baseball. I was like,
he strikes out the side in the first inning.
I was like,
and I saw his dad. I'm like,
is he gonna do it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that night he set a season high in strikeouts. So he didn't get the no-hitter, but he had 9 punch-outs. Yeah. And it's rare stuff that you see now, especially in summer baseball, because guys are not going that long. And I was talking to Coach Murphy about these double headers. We're supposed to have 2 this week. I don't know if we're going to play both.
I don't think so.
But he was saying...
Because I don't think they need to.
Right. And the big thing he said is, I don't know if we got the arms to get through 2 double headers. I mean, more times than not, guys are going to go 2-3 innings.
Well, like the exhibition last night.
Right.
They brought a kid in from...
Brought 2, yeah.
Yeah, and that, SNHU and then Quinnipiac.
Right.
They stayed true to their ERAs, though, didn't they?
They did. It was a rocky outing. And, I was hoping to see different because I think for those guys, too, which I think the nice thing about this is they're exhibition games. They don't count for anything.
Yep.
But they take pride in what they're doing on the mound. And every time you want to see anybody do well on the field. But especially for those guys, our starter was a SNU kid, just wrapped up his rookie season. He's going to be a sophomore. But I think for these guys, more than anything, it's an audition. Every time they take the rubber, they're out there to prove a point. And for our reliever that came in, he's in the transfer portal right now. And it's a big outing for him. I mean, we saw that with Andrew Gaines, if you remember him, earlier this summer, 6'5", 240, the big kid, committed to Pitt. The kid's throwing 95, but he had transferred from Iona to Pitt. And you see a guy like Christian Stratus. And I think that's the unique thing about the Futures League especially. A lot of guys that are going to be risers, like you talked about Gabriel Tirado, Connor Lane, who's receiving MLB consideration.
Tirado, Soldier, we haven't even talked about.
No,
AJ Soldier.
He's been so good, and he's a transfer too from NJIT to Rutgers now. And I think that's the one thing about this league is some guys are coming in the transfer portal, some guys are risers, and the thing that they're trying to do here is make an impression. Can't make a first impression twice, and these guys recognize that. And I think what's so awesome to watch is the pride that they take. And every time I talk to AJ Soldra, he always talks about being consistent in what he does on the field, but I see the way he prepares off the field. Every single rep in the batting cage, he gets pissed. If that baseball does not go where he wants it to, or if he doesn't execute what he's trying to do, that's why he's so dominant on the field, because you see what no one else is able to see, what he's doing in the batting cage. And I think that's special to watch. 7 triples this summer. See the way he flies around the bases. This guy in the outfield stealing. He's got 20 steals this summer.
He's very active. He does it all.
Imagine if he adds a little more pop in that bat. He's a 20-20 guy. talk about him in the major leagues. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
He could do it.
Yeah.
All right, Adam, we're out of here. We got to go ahead and end the show today. Thanks for coming up for doing the 30 minutes with us today. Tonight, Sea Unicorns, game time 6:30.
That's right.
And you'll be on play-by-play. It's fan appreciation night. Bands, fireworks. Adam, what else could you need? Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day, everyone. Paul, thanks for doing all your prep today. It was awesome. Great prep today.
It's okay. All I can tell you is I hope you teach him something during this summer league.
Have a good night. See you at Dodge Stadium.